Good morning, fams, or good day, fams, as it is. It's the man of the hour sending out some positive love and vibes to our international family. You know what? I want to say thank you so much for the love and support over the years. And I wish everybody, and I mean everybody, a happy 2024 New Year as we're back with positive shine to spread around the world. With that said, we start the show with an amazing fam and friend to the show, Denise De Stefano. Denise is an entrepreneur, writer, creative producer, and author of Out of Respect, a newly released memoir now available on Amazon, which is a must read that you can't get enough of. Now, Denise, buongiorno. How are you today?
I'm excellent. I'm so glad to be here,
Well,
Jonva.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's a true honor.
Well, you know what? It's an honor having you. Like I said, you have an interesting journey. And what I like is that your story is one of, like I said, so many layers. And I wanted to bring you on to the show to kind of share that with our global audience. Now, what I wanted to say is congratulations on the new book, which is, if I'm correct, it's called Out of Respect. Thank you for sending that to me. I can't even put the book down. I'm enjoying it. And I want to say kudos to you on that. Job well
Thank
done.
you so very much. Thank you so very much. Been a long time in writing that, and that was my freedom ticket.
Okay.
And putting that down on paper to share with the world, so it freed me, and maybe it can help free others.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I think that it will serve as a reference point for anybody out there, whether you're a creative or just a human being like all of us. Now, before we jump into the interview, like I always like to do, I like to take the audience seat and kind of sit back here and let you share with our global family about Denise De Stefano's journey. So you have the platform, my friend.
Um, well, that's a loaded question, but we're going to start. I guess the best way to start is I was an only child born into an Italian close knit family in South Philadelphia. It was a one of much love, old school things that were instilled in us were courage and faith and hope and resilience and kindness and respect, and mainly, God being in the central part of that. But my father, he was my lifeline. Other than God, it was my father. And at a very young age, for the reason why I did not know, retrospectively, I do know now, he used the word daddy, and daddy is a term of endearment. And he said, Daddy, I'm going to teach you to think like a man, but never forget you were a lady.
Okay.
Because in this world, this is a man's world. And the only way you're going to survive is to think like a man.
Mhm.
And at 8 years old, I was saying to myself, okay, because I love my father, I trusted my father. And in that moment, that was the infrastructure he was planning. He always taught me lessons.
Mhm.
He always respected me as a person. He gave me love as his daughter, his child, but he respected me as a person. He talked to me as an adult. He didn't speak down to me. And what I did not know, well, what he did not know was the secrets I was holding up until that point. Unfortunately, on the flip side, I had a mother, and unfortunately, a lot of people out there may be able to relate. She was a narcissistic, brutal mother who put me through some severe abuse, neglect, trauma on a daily basis. And I guess the biggest incident that started was the night before my confirmation. I was 7 years old. And my father was always a doting father. And she felt that she wasn't getting enough. She was in competition with me. She wasn't getting enough of money, enough of whatever she wanted. And she was bathing me, and I was telling her about the next day's events, just a child would, excited. I saw her morph into it. I said, well, Daddy brought me to Buster Brown shoes, and oh, I just have to get these Buster Brown shoes, and I can't wait to tell him. And then she changed, and she said, that's all you care about. That's all you want is want. Your father gets you everything. And all of a sudden, I found her hands to my neck and I was underwater. And that was the first time she attempted to kill me. And as a child, you don't understand that. And the scene went on, which you can basically hear me in my own voice tell it on my website, and need not to go into it in depth. And my father wasn't expected home early that day. And she heard him come in. I did not. I was underwater. She pulled me up and he started walking up the steps. She threw a towel at me and she said, "Get dressed." I said, "Yes, mommy." She said, "Don't call me mommy. I'm not your mother." So that set the stage,
Mhm.
you know. And as a little girl, you always want to be loved. So there was a fight that took a role, and that's explained in the audio. And I knew from that point on that I was not just a regular little girl. God had put something on me because when I was even at the earliest age of 4, there was a spirit on me. There was a spirit on me. I felt it and I felt different and I was challenged. He taught me so many lessons and I wasn't sure why he taught me these lessons, but I found out later. But I was searching for love. You know, you want love as a little girl. You want to be a little girl. So my father always was about laughing, humor. God gave me gifts. He gave me the gift of joy, dancing, music. And from that point on, I knew I had to be beside my father.
Okay.
So it was that point on that I was always looking to where my father was. He instilled in me, you do good. You treat people with respect, courage, honor. You never talk back. You never do this. You never do that. And he instilled that into me. And I was always gravitating toward God and the elderlies, learning from them, the wisdom. And I knew that I had to take a different role. I wasn't just another kid. I wasn't a normal kid because I didn't have a childhood. So I had to pass that point of childhood. And I began to be beside him. And my father, it was funny because if I wanted to be with my father, I had to be up at 4, getting dressed really fast, having breakfast with him, going with the guys, going to the Oregon Diner or the Penrose Diner or the Melrose Diner, have breakfast. They would take me to school. And in the morning, he was dressed up as a plumber. And in the afternoon, he was in a suit. So, I would always ask him, "Daddy, why do you have all these different outfits?" And he would say, "For every job, there's a different outfit. For every situation, there's a different cover." And my father, he was not a made man. He was an associate. He was one of 11 brothers and sisters. So on my grandmother's deathbed, he said, "You take care of the family." And little did I know that my mother was not Italian. She was a ruse. She was a con. She conned a man who was Italian man to marry her quickly, to get his name. He went off to war. She got the allotment. She got the house. And he came home. He couldn't get in the door. I found all this by a lot of documentation, a lot of research. And then she found herself pregnant with another man. And then she had to figure it out. And she got into the Italian clubs. And my father was a loving man. He was a kind man. He was a gentleman. I'm not saying he was a perfect man when none of us are perfect.
Right.
But what I realized is that, okay, I have a role in life. God has a purpose for me. And the purpose is that I have to keep my secrets because the biggest fear I had was, what if I told, then what would my father do?
Right.
And my father, obviously, I thought he was the kindest, most patient, loving person, but everyone has their limits. So I never told. And I kept secrets my whole life. And I knew everyone's secrets. But he would always say, well, I was with him, "Daddy, you can look and listen, but never talk and tell." And he would have a little chair for me. And wherever that chair was in the room with the guys, that's where I would be. And I would be doing my homework. So
Okay.
it was like, instead of, I learned every store was like a different subject. I learned arithmetic in this store, that store. Even Sam, the number writer, he taught me how to profile a person at 8.5 years old. Yo, kid, what are you doing? Add up these numbers. All right, now let me take you to Mary's trash can. I was confused. Okay, whatever. And he opened Mary's trash can and he started taking out receipts. You see this? She shops at Acme. This is what she buys. This is when she goes. Da 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 da. And the vignette went on. And at the end, he said, "Do you understand?" I said, "Yes." I wasn't sure, but I understood that now I know Mary's profile.
Nice.
So I was on the accelerated. I was on the Metroliner in life. And I thought of every reason not to go home because the violence in the home was so much more aggressive than the violence on the street.
So you mentioned a lot, and I know there's so much that we could probably do like a part 2 on this, but I'm going to leave all the goodies for the book. So the audience can catch all the good stuff. Now, interesting fun fact about you, my friend, is that when you moved to LA in the 90s, you were director of operations for Miracle Pictures Group, which, and if everybody doesn't know, it's an LA film company owned by film producer A. Kitman Ho, also known for works of classics such as Platoon, JFK, Wall Street, and very other notable films. So tell me about that. How did that come all together?
Well, that came together, first of all, because I had an infrastructure and my father taught me all these lessons. And that came together because I realized that I was struggling in Philadelphia. So I thought if I moved, I'd leave my problems. So I moved to New York, but I realized my problems came with me. So, and because my life is totally driven by divine design, divine intervention, always. And I did a lot of favors for people because that's the way I am. I believe in helping people. My father always said, you respect people and you use money. You don't use people and respect money. So that's not what it's about. Okay. Always give, always love. So it was 1985 and I was in NoHo and I had my office there. And Alex had it was in the same building as Def Jam. And he moved in there, his brother Tom Ho, and they were and I'm a nurse, by the way, obviously. So I was a nurse, psychology, and the arts. And that was my infrastructure as education. So, and business. And I met him by another divine intervention. And he said, Denise, can you look at my business plan and tell me what you think of it? So I looked at it and I got a red pen and I hemorrhaged it all over it. And I gave it back to him. And I said, all right, this is what you need to say. Okay. Because they were going to Beijing. And long story short, it was a success. All right. So he called me up one day and he said, what do you want for it? How much could we pay you? I said, I don't want anything. I did it just out of love, because I like to see other people uplift other people. I want to make the world a better place. So one day I got a call and he said, my brother's in town and he wants to meet you.
Okay.
And we went to a dinner and I ended up meeting him and a man with him who at the time I didn't know was Oliver Stone. And we all came together at a table and we spoke and we connected. And he needed some favors. Let's leave it at that. He needed some favors. And because at the time he was a production coordinator, NYU, and he had other endeavors and he needed some troubleshooting. And that was one of my talents. And said, do you know anything? Yeah, I know something about it. He said, oh, I heard. And I said, yeah, okay. What do you need? And he gave me his ask. And I said, let me see what I can do. So I did my magic. And that in turn helped him.
Nice.
And then we became friends over a period of time. And then he started calling me up and he said, we formed a relationship. And he said, well, I need somebody like you. I need somebody like you that can think like a man and leave that female component outside and
Right.
still engage. You're charismatic. You have a lot of talents. And I like you, basically front and center,
Mhm.
but not front and center. Like my front and center, I was always behind the scenes
Right.
because most of my life I was DL. I was down low. I mean, there's many reasons why I had to be.
Right.
And I started out with him, and he called me up. I'll never forget it. 4 o'clock in the morning, and he said, "This is what I'm thinking about. What do you think?" And I
Mhm.
said, "Well, I was coming out there anyway to visit. Okay, we'll talk."
Okay.
And he made me an offer. I thought, okay, I've been in Manhattan for almost 11 years, other places,
Mhm.
traveling because I'm a gambler in life. So I was traveling all around the world. And I said, I need a break. I need to get out of here. I need to change my scene.
Right.
And I took his offer, which was to be his COO.
Okay.
And that was my transition. And it was a man's world. I mean, a man's world. There wasn't one woman in that company except me, but he didn't see me as a woman. And I understood that because I grew up with that, and I didn't take that as an insult at all. In fact, it was a compliment because I was able to go into a boardroom and demand my respect, because when I'm in that room, my father always taught me, when you're in the room, daddy, you own that room.
Mhm.
And then when you leave that room, you give it back. And
Okay.
that was a respectful way. So I applied every lesson that he taught me.
Mhm.
And that's what got me through different levels. And I went and I basically, he starts saying, okay, I need you on set. I need you here. I need you there. And I did want to cross over to film
Mhm.
because I had been in video for a long time, because I
Okay.
went from nursing to fundraising
Mhm.
to having a major health company that went national. And then I found my niche.
Mhm.
And my book at that time in New York, it was only 183 pages. I just started journaling, and it morphed into something else. And before I knew it, I was flying back and forth on a monthly basis I was by coastal New York, California. And that took its own form. And at the same time, I was running the company.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot. I was accepted. I knew how to keep secrets, and I knew how to respect. I knew how to troubleshoot. But what I did know was I could look ahead. And as I was taught in martial arts that I taught, 12 steps ahead
Mhm.
before you even move your foot. So that's how I ran it. And it was the most unbelievable experience that I could ever have for a woman, especially in the industry at that time, to be at the helm, and many other stories that went along with that.
Nice, nice. I commend you for sharing all this because, like I said, I'm definitely going to have a part two on you in the near future because there's so much here that we could talk about. But before we kind of bring this to a closure, I just want to share with our audience that besides of your background as in literary and also in the whole movie industry. Denise is also a founder and executive producer of Video Health Systems, an award-winning informational media company that really became an industry leader in health information that empowered patients. And something else that caught my attention when I was reading your bio is how you co-published a paper for the American College of Legal Medicine, and among others. I will have to say, just wow on all that stuff. Anybody looking to learn more about Denise, like I said, we'll share her webpage where you can find the book. But Denise, I would say to you that you are an inspiration to all of us. And I say thank you, my friend. Now, with that said, for our international audience, we're a huge supporter of every guest who comes on the show. And we're always looking to support guests in every way. So where can we find and connect with you?
Well, I have my website, which is www.outoFrespectbook.com.
Mhm.
And you can go there to the contact page. There's a place where you could reach out to me. You can write me, write messages. It's a safe place.
Okay.
I have a Now to Respect page on Facebook, LinkedIn, also my email, outrespect.d@gmail.com. And
Mhm.
all this can be found out on my website. And I am out there willing to help. And I give services, but I also want to help. You can pick, if you want to, I give, sometimes I say, write me if you need 15 minutes.
Mhm.
I'm open to that. So that's how they can reach me. Facebook. I'm just starting my Instagram right now, but basically it's through the website's the best way.
Right.
And it'll guide you, it'll tour you, it'll give you a little bit about me, and it'll give you an audio clip that'll, if you don't have coffee that day, it'll wake you up.
That's right. It will definitely wake you up. And as we come to a close, I would like you to share a quote that will inspire listeners as they navigate through their life journey with some hope of achieving their dreams as well. So take a moment just to kind of ponder. You might have it already in your mind. We're going to sit back and wait for you to deliver.
Well, I think that never stop trying, never stop going. Like my father said, if you fall down 21 times,
Hmm.
you just get right back up, dust yourself off, and keep going. Because it could be that next time that will be your breakthrough. And never give up on yourself. Believe in yourself, walk by faith and not by sight.
Well said, my friend. Well said. Well, like I said, we will, continue our dialogue. There's many things that has interest me since we connected on social media, and like I said, we'll talk offline. But in the meantime, like I said, Denise, I wish you an amazing week and a happy one too. A happy one. And thank you for taking the time to come on.
Right back to you, Jonva. This has been great, and I really appreciate it. And thank you so much.